The member for Longman.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Treasurer. Will the Treasurer inform the House how the Morrison government is on the side of all Australians by returning the budget to surplus and getting more people into work? Is the Treasurer aware of any alternative policies?
The Treasurer has the call.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. And I want to congratulate the member for Longman because in his first speech today he talked about owning a couple of golf shop franchises, and his first speech was a hole-in-one, Mr Speaker, because it was a brilliant speech about his personal experiences, his ideals and what he wants to do for the people of Longman. And his first speech explained why Longman went from being on that side of the House to being on this side of the House, Mr Speaker.
The Treasurer can just pause for a second. It's entertaining, but 30 seconds of it's a bit long. We're getting. I think we can.
Longman knows that the fundamentals of the Australian economy are strong, that Australia is in its 28th consecutive year of economic growth. As the Governor has reminded us, the foundations of the Australian economy are strong. We have a AAA credit rating, Mr Speaker. We have 17 consecutive months of trade surpluses, Mr Speaker, and we will be delivering a budget surplus the first time in more than a decade, Mr Speaker. And we have done that by responsible and targeted spending. The rate of spending growth is around half of what we inherited, Mr Speaker. There are more people in jobs and less people in welfare, Mr Speaker, and the proportion of working-age Australians on welfare is around the lowest levels in 30 years, Mr Speaker. And we inherited from those opposite $240 billion of accumulated deficits, an unemployment rate which was at 5.7%, an employment growth at only 0.7%, and a gender pay gap at 17.2%, Mr Speaker. And on all indicators, we have strengthened the economy. And a strong economy, because we are on the side of hard-working Australians. A strong economy allows us to deliver tax cuts, Mr Speaker, for more than 13 million Australians. Now, Mr Speaker, we know that those opposite and the Leader of the Opposition has had every position under the sun. He was against the tax cuts, then he was for the tax cuts. He wanted to change the name of the bill, Mr Speaker. He wanted to wait for those in the upper house. But I tell you what, today we got the real explanation in the Australian newspaper when he was explaining his position on tax cuts. Wait for it. He said, "We will agree with measures we disagree with," Mr Speaker. This is exactly what happened with the tax cuts, Mr Speaker. So, Mr Speaker, the reality is the Leader of the Opposition doesn't know on whose side he's on. We, on this side of the House, are always on the side of hard-working Australians because we want Australians to earn more and to keep more of what they earn.